Hello everyone, it's Connor Furno here, and today I'll be talking about neurons, their function, and how they're classified. Neurons are highly specialised cells within the nervous system that transmit information in the form of electrical impulses to other neurons, muscles, or glands. Humans have around 100 billion neurons in total. Here is the anatomy of a neuron. This part here is called the soma, or the cell body, and contains the nucleus and other typical subcellular structures like mitochondria. The branches that come off the soma here are called dendrites, and these connect to other neurons by a synapse. Chemicals, known as neurotransmitters, are passed across the synapse, which can either be chemical synapses, which are the most common, or electrical synapses. I will go into more detail about neurotransmitters and synapses in a later video. This part here is called the axon, and is connected to the soma through the axon hillock. Information in the form of electrical impulses travels down the axon to the presynaptic terminals, where the information is passed on to the next neurons. How we do that is through an action potential, which I will elaborate on in another video, but basically, the node of Ranviers, as shown here, are a place where the electrical current can be resupplied through voltage-gated channels, and therefore travel down the axon for longer distances. But how do we send this electrical impulse quickly, you might ask? Well, here along the axon are myelin sheath, which are insulators for the impulse. They are made up of lipids and proteins and are made by glial cells. Multiple sclerosis is a non-communicable disease where the immune system attacks the myelin sheath, which leads to symptoms such as cognitive dysfunction and muscle spasms. Neurons can be classified in two ways, structural and functional. Here are neurons classified by function. Receptors, which can be on the skin for example, detect a stimulus from the environment and send impulses down a sensory neuron to the CNS, or central nervous system. The CNS then sends the signal down the motor neuron to the effectors, which can be muscles or glands. The CNS is connected to sensory and motor neurons by interneurons, such as the Golgi cell in the cerebellum of the brain. Here are neurons classified by structure. This one here that you would typically associate with a neuron is called a multipolar neuron because the soma has many dendrites coming into it and the axon coming off of it, and is the most common neuron in the human. This one here is called the bipolar neuron because it has one dendrite coming into it and the axon coming out of it, and is the most rare neuron in the human, typically found in receptors in your eyes and nose. You can see that with this one there is only one connection, which we call a unipolar neuron. This neuron is the structure for most receptors in the body, taking in information and passing them on to the central nervous system. This final neuron here has no axon at all, and we call it an anaxonic neuron, but their exact functions to us are unclear. That's the basics of neurons. I hope you enjoyed, and make sure to re-watch the video if you need to, but make sure to stay tuned for weekly biology videos, and next week we will be covering synapses. See you then.